Welcome, students, to another episode of Manhood Academy podcasting. We have a full class after the New Year's. It's now 2012. This is our first inaugural class of the new year. We got Grow a Pair.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Are you there? Hello. We have Paperclip.
Whoop, whoop.
We have Mr. Woo Woo in the house. We have Blue.
Here, present.
And we have DKO.
What's up?
What's up? We have Boggles.
Yeah.
We have DVP.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. We have Zyger.
Yeah.
Yep. And we have Jar. The Jar.
Yep.
Yep. And we got Tim W.
Yep.
Okay, before we start, anything that we need to cover or you guys want to cover before we jump right into our podcasting topics?
Nope, I'm ready to go.
Okay, I guess we're ready to go. Okay, I put in a little addendum to this first
I
topic.
think that I'm good to go.
Okay, Jar, good. I think that
Well, sorry, there's a lot of lag on my end.
you got lag going. You want me to hang up on you and call you back?
Yeah, I don't think I can do this.
Uh-oh.
No, I think
Nice,
you have to hang up on me.
We'll hang up on you. We'll bring you
Nice.
back. Poor little Jar. Okay, so I added a little addendum to the topics here. Let's see if we can get Jar back on here and see if we can
I
get
gotta look up addendum.
Yeah, you look up addendum while Jar is getting back on. Jar, you back on?
An item of additional material. If this doesn't work, can't do the podcast.
We'll have to cancel the podcast if this doesn't work for you, Jar.
I found it.
You might just have to
Everybody has
either
to
listen in or
can't
go.
do this.
But if you're lagging that badly,
No, I have to.
you having sound problems or mic problems?
Okay, I think I'll.
You can just sit.
Well,
You can
when
just
I
sit
speak,
tight.
and then I actually hear myself speak in the thing. And
Well-
it's just okay. I'll sit tight.
You can sit tight for a while.
Every student hears themselves talk for 4 minutes.
We're gonna have to barrel through
I
it
know
until we
that.
can get this new podcast setup going, which hopefully will be this week sometime. I'll have all the components here. I got the shipping notice
Yeah,
for the new
it's-
podcasting stuff from yesterday, or not yesterday, this weekend. So it should be coming all this week, I'm guessing. All right, the first thing on our podcasting topic list here is it says cover Tortilla making the academy fit his expectations, which is Tortilla is code for Torero, one of our students on the forum. This guy is a monster going around making posts and being basically a valuable contribution to the forum. This is the type of student you want to aspire to be. One who's making a lot of posts. I mean, here's an example of initiating and leading. And this is exactly how the academy gets built. This academy was started by yours truly and Dr. Ladice. And we're just two people. We're two kids. But we built this thing from the ground up, so to speak. Electronic brick by electronic brick. All the banners you see, the posts, the articles that became the 300-page ebook. I have 2 editions of the ebook with me. I have the old black and white cover one where it had 3 fingers on it, had a thumbs up, or a pointer finger on one side, a middle finger on the bottom, and a thumbs up on the right side. And now it's a full-color hardcover book. So it's come a long way. From what we originally had, we had just these articles, and now we have a full ebook, and along with a hardcover version you can get. So this academy has really been built up over the years, and it's been initiated by just a couple people, just 2 people. So you got to think, if we have created this environment for you guys, who are now students at this academy, who are instructing in social interaction, you think what would happen if you guys became competent, if you guys trained to become socially competent, and you guys learned to initiate your social interactions, how much more could you do as just one person? Because I always consider, wow, it seems kind of tough. I'm doing a lot of posting, and it's hard to get students to get motivated, to get encouraged to start posting and start practicing social interaction, because it's really difficult to give somebody that end of the rainbow perspective of what it's like unless you're actually there, unless you've actually experienced it. It's very difficult to give you that experience secondhand. But you just need to consider this academy. When I consider the academy, I think, wow, look what I did as just one person. Look what we did as just 2 people. And now we got more students. We got a lot of students here. We got even a lot of visitors that come. We have a lot of enemies that visit us too. We have all kinds of people. And I wanted to keep this map up. We just got another person from Anzo is from New Zealand and put his mark on the Manhood Academy map. So I'm going to add another zombie to our global infection map. That's in the visitors section if you want to check it out. And you can see we're growing. We got guys on. Do we have guys on every continent? Let me check here. Another good thing. We just updated the PHP to the board, which is basically the software that runs this forum. And some of the updates have been rocky. I've almost deleted the forum by accident. I've almost done some pretty scary things to the forum, so I was just crossing my fingers and everything went smoothly. But on global infection, I'm on the global infection. I'm going to check it out real quick. Okay, so here we got our world map. And I just thought, this is not, some of the things I come up with are somewhat nonsensical. I mean, they have there's like that method to the madness behind the image you see. Like you see a half a skull here and you're like, why did Professor Plum choose a zombie to represent Manhood Academy students? And I just thought, well, I thought of zombie infections, the recent rashes zombie movies where zombies are taking over the earth and there's always this kind of doomsday scenarios. I thought, well, why don't we just put that in a nice little positive light? So we'll be Manhood Academy students becoming zombies and taking over the earth. So I made a little map with little green zombies all over the place. And so you can see zombies in Brazil, United States, that's where we started, Canada. We have a lot of students in Europe. We even got one, this shocked me, in Africa. And I want to I'm hardcore for Africa just because it's so impossible to get students in Africa. So any place where it's impossible, like China, Korea, I want to get students from China and Korea.
You need to get one from India. Wait.
India, too. So we got another one
Wait, is there one in Cuba?
In where?
There's a tiny little one in the Caribbean.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
There's one in Cuba. Yes, there's somebody in that region. We got a guy in
You
New
can't
Zealand.
move the map around.
You can click on it.
Directions.
You can click on
I
it.
clicked on the map to zoom in, but nothing happens.
Well, if you can zoom in twice. I don't know what browser you're using. I'm on Chrome, but you can zoom in once and it gives you a big image. And then if you click again, you can zoom in a second time to like the biggest size image of the map, and you can kind of scroll around. It doesn't show the actual scroll bar when I click it to its biggest size, but I can still scroll it around and kind of check out the Manhood Academy map. So you can see different. You can see students. Hold on a second. I'm getting echo.
Where's that
DB,
coming from?
DB, PB.
How's that coming from me? I have headphones.
I don't know. I can hear my voice in the speakers. I'm going to be so happy when we get this new setup because I'm praying it will take care of all the technical issues of the echo. So,
Yeah, I took my headphones off, took them out of my ears, and you can barely hear them. There's no way it's making it all the way up to my webcam.
okay, well, I'm just going by who I see pop up on the board here. I'm looking at the context. When people are talking, their name pops to the top here. But anyway, so you can see we also have technical difficulties, so we have problems along the way. And the problems along the way represent kind of like relationship building to me. It's just like, for instance, Boggles. Boggles has probably had a fight with every student on this forum. And Boggles represents progress. He's like the message of progress here. If you can continually fuck up but keep going forward, you'll eventually progress. You can't help but progress. So, we have technical difficulties here with the podcast even, and I'm progressing forward. I got new equipment for it, so I'll have a better experience. So, just like with the relationships, Boggles has plenty of, I'm sure, enemies or people who aren't that friendly with him on the forum, but even he's learning how to repair these relationships and go forward with these relationships. So, you can see there's all this kind of progress being made here in baby steps. Some students are making big strides. Some students are just making little baby steps. But don't be discouraged. If you're just this one student, you just started, your problems are insurmountable. Every student who comes here, it seems like their intro is, problems are insurmountable. Problems are so big. Problems are, unique to you. Nobody else has them. And so you kind of feel like you're in this isolated bubble, and you've probably been isolating yourself from social contact for a long time. This is the place to start over. This is the place to start at square one. Just look at the 21-day no-fap challenge. Jar was on day 7, and then he touched himself. Jar's hand got the better of him. I don't want to hear your explanation, Jar. Jar got intimate, he got drunk, and his hand went crazy, and he touched himself last night. He blew it. He blew his 21-day challenge on day 7. Guess what Jar said?
No pun intended.
Yeah. Jar said, back to square one. Back to square one. He just keeps going forward. This is like failing forward. It's like Boggles. He's trying to create a relationship with DVP. All of a sudden he makes an unreasonable demand. He makes an expectation on DVP. He makes a demand on DVP and gives him nothing to give DVP a reason to meet that demand. And he fucks up the relationship. Now Boggles and DVP are on bad terms. Boggles fucked up again. So now he's got to repair the relationship. Boggles has got to start over. He's got no choice but to repair the relationship. The unique thing I like about Manhood Academy is I will always pressure the students to go forward in their relationships. There will never be a relationship, at least that I know of, where there will be two enemies at Manhood Academy. If you are enemies with another student at Manhood Academy, if you are having problems with another student, the only solution I have to that relationship is for it to work. is for it to go forward. So if you are not getting along with another student, you are most likely the problem. You have most likely not learned how to manage your expectations with another student. You haven't learned how to give them a reason to meet your demands. You haven't learned how to get rid of or even diagnose to see if your expectations are reasonable or not, if they're functional expectations. Are you telling students to just give you $100 just because you're a cool guy? Or are your demands more along the lines of, be respectful when you talk to me? Help me out if I ask for help. What kind of demands are you making on other students? So I'm not going to leave your relationship static. Your relationships have no choice but to go forward. So if I find out there's two students with problems, I'm going to address the relationship. This is not an academy where we sweep the relationships under the rug. This is why I always expect you guys to handle your problems in the forum, not in my fucking PM. For instance, right now, I'm getting it together. One of the new guys in the forum who's on scholarship, he keeps PMing me stupid shit like, hey, I'm just letting you know my progress on the ebook is X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to put my entry in very soon. This is one of these guys that is so used to having these kind of coddled conversations with a teacher or wants to isolate the conversation and doesn't want to appear stupid in front of the other students. This is exactly how you got here. I won't let you remain there. So if you're one of those guys who wants to send me those PMs, I'm going to say, fuck you. I'm going to post all your PMs exactly in the forum, unless they're of a private nature. We should be clear from reading the student orientation thread, the new student orientation thread, what type of PMs you should be sending me. Tim Will, what type of PMs should you be sending me? Here's a hint. The PM stands for private message. If you're sending me an update on your reading status or a thank you, hey Plum, I really like the ebook, or hey Plum, I really want to share an experience I had, or here this really helped me out, I want to thank you personally. I don't want a personal thank you. I want a public thank you. I want a forum thank you. You know why? It's a huge ego. No. It's because I want you to practice having your interactions in public. This type of information where you're joyful about an experience you had, it may seem like, hey, you want to buddy up and share it with Plum, but this is something you need to share with a community. You're learning how a community works. Believe it or not, this is like any society you go to. We are forming our own culture. You're seeing culture form right before your eyes. You know, we always talk about the American culture, the Chinese culture, the Greek culture, ancient cultures, mythical cultures. This is a culture. You're going to see how culture works. If I don't have any input into this, I'm so tempted to find out where these should I do it? Should I hang up on people one by one and call them back just to find out where the echo's coming from?
Sure.
It's so fucking distracting. I have to do it. Okay, we're gonna play.
Here we go.
We're gonna play. We're gonna play Marco Polo. Tim, you're up first. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
There goes the token black guy.
The token black guy. Wait. It might have been a token black guy. Why is it always a token black guy robbing the liquor store?
That didn't take long.
Well, I'm the first guess. Let me call him back. Hold on. If we can't solve it, we're gonna have to let the token black guy go. Tim, are you there?
Yep.
We solved the problem. Guess who it was? Tim.
You just want to guess.
Tim, take a guess.
You?
Yes. You bastard. Okay, hopefully I called you back, so I'm not getting the echo right now, but if I get the echo, I'm going to have to let you go just because it's a little too distracting. You're going to have to hear it on the podcast, on the student podcast. So if I let you go in the middle, you know why. Tim, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I let you go in the middle, you know why.
Wait, it's me?
Yeah. Yes. We've narrowed it down. I was going to play Marco Polo with the students and figure out I was going to hang out one by one on the students, and you're the first guy I hung up on, and the echo disappeared. So it's gone right now. It's gone right now, though. I called you back, so it might just be Skype. So let's press forward. Let's press forward. Please don't yawn during class. In fact, I can't believe I even said please. I want to punch you in the face. Do not yawn during class.
Right.
Or stifle your yawn or yawn away from the microphone.
It's maybe 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't care. I want to put you in a chokehold. Don't yawn in the class. This is not excuse class. It's 4 a.m. I dug 2 ditches today. I don't care how many ditches you dug today. You're in my class. I have an expectation for how I want to be treated in the class. I hope you will have expectations for your relationships. You won't keep making excuses for why women treat you a certain way or why guys treat you a certain way. You know, this is a common problem with guys today. Like, we pointed out there was some post I was working on with, in another forum with a bunch of people. and people were making excuse. There was some comic posted about a chick saying, "I'm for equality, except when it doesn't benefit me." It was just, one of these kind of flippant posts, but it kind of made the point that girls want to have their cake and eat it too. They want the best of both worlds. But then there's a bunch of guys who were like the typical emasculated guys making excuses for poor female behavior. Well, maybe she's this. Well, sometimes we say, hey, the reason why men need fathers in their lives is because statistics show that if a woman raises a child by herself, a single mother, she's more likely to create a criminal, a felon. The vast majority of guys behind bars are products of single mothers. But then you have guys who will make excuses, emasculated guys who will make excuses for these women. Well, maybe it's a socioeconomic factor. Maybe it's an environmental factor. Maybe it's she's just tired. Well, maybe if the dad was around. Maybe this, maybe that. There are so many excuses. But the obvious is always swept under the rug. So this is the academy where we put, there's a famous president who had a little plaque on his desk that said the buck stops here, which means, the bullshit stops here. The excuses stop here. We don't play pass the buck, where if there's a problem, I just pass it off on the next guy and hope the next guy in office can solve it. I'm not waiting for the next instructor to solve Manhood Academy student problems and I retire on a Manhood Academy pension. We don't have a fucking pension. I don't have that luxury. Sorry. I got to solve all the problems here. The easiest way I've found to solve problems are to get rid of the excuses. What's so magical about getting rid of the excuses is the problems seem to solve themselves. If you give me the excuse, hey, I was up late till 4 a.m., and I say, fuck your excuse. Guess what will happen magically? You'll find a way to get to bed on time, or you'll find a way to be rested before the class. You'll either take a nap, or you'll do something to solve the excuse, or to get rid of the excuse. So we're here getting rid of the root problems, not addressing all the symptoms. I'm not going to say, oh, well, you're in class. We're going to build a special section of the podcast for people that want to sleep. We're going to try and rotate. Since half the students are in different time zones, we're going to figure out a way to accommodate them by rotating sleep zones. So we'll have, 15 students over here snoring, and the other, 20 of us will have to put up with it. We'll just try and work out a system of rotating sleep patterns. No, if we keep trying to put Band-Aids on all these symptoms, on all these excuses, we're just creating more problems for ourselves. We're creating an unnecessary complex class that doesn't need to be that complex. I gave a simple solution to this asshole today for DVP. I think it was DVP posted a video about a mom taking care of a baby.
Oh,
and when I say taking care of a baby, I mean that very, very loosely taking care of a baby.
Like they barely hold them down while the baby tries to hit her.
Well, the baby is just throwing a tantrum for, a good 3 minutes, and the mom is just smiling like it's a game. She doesn't realize she's raising a future bitch, a future felon, somebody who has no control over themselves, no self-control, no discipline. So she's not exercising any external discipline. So that baby is going to grow up with no self-discipline, no ability to regulate itself, no ability to limit itself, all because of her permissive behavior. So this is why we say, look, a child needs a father. He needs structure in his life. He needs direction. He needs discipline. But if you don't have this, there's going to be a deficit in your life. And a lot of you guys are realizing this today. There's a big deficit because you didn't have a father. You didn't have direction. You didn't have discipline. So now it's hard for you to concentrate. For DVP to type an expression post is such a difficult thing because he's got such poor concentration, such poor studying habits. So again, we see this lack of limitation. So went on a tangent. What was my original point?
I apologize, but I'm glad that my yawn.
The point is, I don't want your apology. I just don't want you to do it. The point is, we're here solving the problem so we don't create bigger symptoms. So, okay, now I remember the point was. So this video, I reposted it to have a discussion about this video, and one of the guys who was again into making excuses said, "Hey, let's ask a child psychologist what they would do." Now, once you involve a psychologist into a relationship, into a parent-child relationship, you've unnecessarily complicated that thing. I mean, parents spontaneously know, a dad spontaneously knows, if somebody's screwing up, I need to put a stop to that somehow. And eventually that's going to involve a spanking in some way or some kind of restriction, some kind of bad punishment, or not bad punishment, some kind of punishment that feels bad. Something's going to feel bad at some point. But enter the child psychologist, and now you have, how can we make an excuse out of this? How can we reason with him? What are creative ways we can do time out? What are creative solutions for this and that? And it's always, quote, quote, creative solution, which means let's avoid the pain of telling them they can't do that. Let's avoid putting a boundary on them. Let's avoid disciplining them. Let's avoid giving them a painful consequence, and let's see how we can reward them. Let's see how we can bribe them to behave. That's what child psychology translates into. So now you've taken a parent, you've removed their function, you've removed their job, and given it to a child psychologist. So now, when people think of parenting, people think of raising a child, what do they think? It's so fucking overwhelming. They think, when I was talking to these people who were parents, I look at their shelf, there's fucking books out the wazoo of how to raise a kid. And you could be sure that all those books aren't in agreement. Some people are going to be, well, you got to be soft with them. Some people are, well, you got to bribe them. Some people are, well, we got to take them to special school. Some people are, oh, we got to take them to Montessori. We got to take them to a preschool. We got to take them to private school. We got to do this. So there's 5 billion different conflicting theories and 500 million different ways to discipline them and 500 different ways to tell them no. There's so much overcomplication. When people think of raising kids, they're like, oh, I'm not qualified to do that. Well, the problem is it's not necessarily that you're not so qualified. With just a little training, you could be qualified, but it's that it's been so overcomplicated by excuses. So now we have a culture based on solving symptoms, not on solving root problems, on addressing symptoms. We have a culture that just hands out more and more and more and more and more Band-Aids. It becomes more and more complex. Instead of treating the cancer, we're now treating sniffles, we're treating coughs, we're treating aches, we're treating, cuts. So we have all these things that are dedicated to treating symptoms and not treating the problem. So this is a long roundabout way of saying, I don't give a fuck why you're yawning. Don't yawn. Eventually, you're going to be the guy saying to the girl in your relationship or saying to a guy who's giving you an excuse in your friendship or work relationship, don't give me the fucking excuse. Fix the problem. Solve your behavior. Don't put this on me to solve your behavior. Don't make me responsible for policing you. You solve the problem. Then we won't have the problem. This is that account.
Again, Professor, sorry.
Yeah, okay, but I don't want your assurance, just don't do it. I will know it won't happen again when you don't do it. I don't want your justification, I just don't want you to do it. This is that academy, where you learn that, look, our initial reaction is to give a justification for our actions. You'll see this a lot of times in new students when they're writing reports or they get a critique or criticism. They'll be like, well, I did that because of this. Well, I'm doing that because I was raised by a single mom, or I'm doing that because of this, or I'm doing that because of this. Yes, there are valid reasons we realize you have poor training growing up. This is why you do this. But we're not relying on that. We're not going to be stuck there. We're going to move. Yes.
Yeah, Professor, this is, go ahead, DDP. Is that you?
Blue?
No, that was Clip. No, that's paper Clip.
Paper, what's up?
You ask your question, and I'll ask mine.
What's up, Paper?
Okay. Thank you. Is yawning only bad when it interrupts the teacher while they're talking?
The point is not yawning. The point is, yawning violates my expectations in the class. The issue is not the specific thing. It could be tapping his finger on the desk. I'm not focusing on the symptom, just yawning. You are focusing on the symptom. You're not seeing the bigger picture. It is that this sound or this yawn, that's violating my expectation. My expectation is to not have distractions in class. That yawn distracts me.
Okay. Thank you.
I am putting a stop to that distraction by saying, here's my expectation. Don't violate my expectation. This is the same thing. This is the same type of thing you'll be doing. You'll have expectations, and people will try to turn those expectations around and put the blame on you. They'll say your expectation's unreasonable. They'll say look, I just meant this, or why are you being so uptight, or why are you being a dick about it? A quick knee-jerk reaction from a lot of people is, why are you such an asshole to me? You could be telling them, hey, don't sit on my car. And they'll be like, hey, bro, ease up. Why are you being such a dick? So they're putting the excuse on you. It's your behavior that's wrong. They should be allowed to sit on your car. But you should be enforcing your expectation. You should be caring about your expectation, saying, look, let's not focus on my behavior. Let's focus on your behavior. Hey, asshole, that's my car. You need to respect my property. I don't give a fuck why you're sitting there. Don't sit on there. That shows you're disrespecting me. We're focusing now on your behavior. People always want to turn the focus away from their behavior. That's what allows them to be dysfunctional in the first place. If we take the focus off of his yawn and we go, well, he's yawning, but he has a good reason. He's tired. Come on, professor. What the fuck? Why are you so strict? Or come on, he was up to, didn't you hear he said he was up till 4? Obviously he's going to be tired. You're the problem, professor. You need to make accommodations for students who are tired. So if we play, hello Blue, you're back. So if we make excuses for him, we only perpetuate the problem. We don't solve the problem because now he's not the problem. I'm the problem. I have to change to accommodate him. So if I'm not clear about my expectations that it's okay for me to say, look, I don't want yawns. tardiness. I don't want people making chat pops. I don't want distractions, even technical issues, right? Some people, it's not really their fault. Their computer's fucked up or their microphone, something's wrong with their microphone. Should I say, you know what? Poor guy, poor Jar, his microphone's bad. We gotta let him stay in class. Come on, guys. He's here to learn. If we kick him out of class, poor Jar, he's not gonna learn anything. Should we just start accommodating Jar and fucking up the entire podcast and having bad podcast quality because of his microphone? Fuck no. We should realize what our base expectations are. Another problem is we don't realize what our base expectations are. Is it a reasonable expectation to say, hey, we should have a clear podcast that people can understand so they can appreciate what's being taught here? Or is our expectation that, fuck the podcast, whoever makes it to class, and we just manage regardless of the quality of the call? Which is more important? Well, I have to decide ahead of time. I'm checking my expectation. My expectation is, look, I figure this can be recorded, so the call quality or the recording is the quality of the recording is more important than Jar being accommodated or not being hurt, his feelings hurt by me kicking him off. So I've already decided ahead of time the more reasonable expectation, or the less dysfunctional expectation. I almost said more functional, but that would have been wrong. The less dysfunctional expectation is to kick Jar off the call. Now, I don't have to be a dick about it. I say, fuck off, Jar. I can say, Jar, hey, can't have you on the call. Call quality is going to be affected. Jar might protest, but I got to look. If that's my expectation, I got to cut him off. I can't be accommodating his expectations or accommodating his computer equipment, which isn't up to par. I say, he's going to argue with me, and he'll say, Professor, come on, I'm here to learn. I paid money. I should be in the class. If I allowed that, well, guess what? Now I have a new expectation. I have a Jar expectation. I no longer have a Professor Plum expectation. Now I'm not qualified to teach this class because I can't even get my expectations met with my students.
Okay, Professor, I have a question for you.
Hold on.
Okay.
The point is, motherfucker, interrupt me with a point. The point is, I've got to have my expectations. I got to be clear about my expectations, and then I got to enforce my expectations. These are very simple things on paper, but very, very, very difficult to implement without training. It seems simple to me. I think expectation, and is Jar violating the expectation? If he is, punish. If he isn't, reward. Very simple to me. Even the execution is somewhat simple because I practice. But to someone like Tim Will, who has no practice, he's like, his first thought is, if I kick Jar off the podcast, he's going to think I'm a dick. I can't do that. I don't want to be felt. I don't want Jar to think I'm a dick. I'm just going to sweep it under the rug. Now, guess what? When people listen to the podcast recording, they're like, this is fucking terrible. I can't even pay attention. It's so crackling speakers. I got echo. I can't listen to this thing. Forget it. But all Tim Will is thinking is, I don't want Jar to hate me. So now by not getting his expectation met, he's fucking over more people than he realizes. Eventually, it's going to affect everything. Eventually, his academy is going to shut down because people can't understand the podcast. The podcasts are so bad in quality. They're like, Tim doesn't know what he's doing. Fuck, he can't even manage his own expectations. I'm out of here. And now the academy shuts down, all because Tim couldn't get an expectation met. Small little expectation snowballed into a big issue. Same with Bogler. Bogler doesn't get along with DBP. It's just one student fight. Just one student issue. They don't get along. But everybody else, they get along, right? Just sweep it under the rug. Don't deal with it. It's not an issue. Not a big deal. They don't live next to each other. They're not in the same place. Doesn't matter, right? Wrong. They're in the academy. They're in the community. It's like having a cut finger, a bleeding finger. You can't just go, the finger's bleeding. I got another finger over on this side on my left hand. I don't have to worry about my right hand. Why is that wrong, Jar? Why do I have to worry about the right hand too? Okay, not Jar. Let's try Zyger. Don't worry about it. Just sit back. Sit back, Jar. Zyger, why do we have to worry about the cut on our right hand and we can't just ignore it and say, we got 9 other fingers over here?
Well, to continue with the metaphor, if you're bleeding out one finger, it's your entire blood supply that's going to run out.
Yes.
And if we go to the social interaction, if you've got a little problem somewhere, it's going to affect everything else.
Yes.
It's not just going to be that little isolated problem which is not connected to everything else.
Yes. If you don't realize
People
this...
are going to say he's not managing that expectation.
Yes.
So they're not going to think that guy's not managing that expectation. They'll think that guy's not managing any of his expectations.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, sure. He covered the point. If you don't realize this, if you don't realize that DBP and Bogler, their relationship problem affects you, if you don't realize that, then you don't understand social interaction. You don't understand how social interaction works. There is no such thing as an isolated social interaction. If me and Zyger have a secret relationship and talk about stuff behind your backs. And if you think it'll only affect me and Zyger, you know nothing about social interaction. This will have some little ripple effect which will touch you. It might not be a big, significant effect, but it'll definitely affect your life. So this little rift between Boggs and DBP is going to fuck up your relationships eventually. When you're in a group, something's going to happen. There's going to be that friction. It's going to cause tension. You've seen Bog go on a podcast. We had to kick Bog out of a fucking podcast because he's causing problems. So one little cut on your body affects your entire body. That's why you can't ignore these little things. These relationships have no choice. They have no other choice but to go forward at the academy. There's no such thing as a stagnant relationship here. Even if it's fucked up, it will still go forward because we will not allow it to stay the way it is. That shows you don't understand social interaction. I will not allow cuts to go unaddressed at the academy. Blue, what's your question?
Thank you. I noticed, I think you were speaking with Juan. Was he the one that had the microphone or the yawning?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I noticed you said that his excuse wasn't, like you didn't care for his excuse.
Right.
When you're doing that with, when you're exercising your expectation management with chicks, are you doing the same thing? Like, are you...
Okay, well, wait, don't take that as a sweeping statement. I'm not saying that any excuse, you're just like, if he says, Professor, I yawn because I'm losing blood right now because my hand got chopped off in a car accident and I'm trying to hold it. I try to make it to the podcast, so I got a tourniquet around it, but I'm really sleepy because I only have 2 pints of blood left in my body and I'm about to die. So at that point, I can't say, hey, I don't want to hear your fucking excuse. You're going to have to take the pain, soldier. If you bleed out and die, at least you made it to the podcast. No. Your expectations have to be mutually beneficial. If my expectation is for him to not yawn while his arm is bleeding out, while he's bleeding out and he's about to die in about, 10 minutes, is he benefiting from my expectation? No, of course not. He's going to die. So obviously there's something wrong with my expectation. My expectation is not taking his condition into account. Now, if he's just saying, hey, I'm yawning because I was up late. Is that excuse a good enough reason for me to change my expectation? There's nothing wrong with changing your expectation as long as you have a very good reason for doing so. If there's a better expectation, for instance, a better expectation, if he's yawning because he's dying, the better expectation is to take care of the student. The yawning is secondary. Interrupting the class is secondary. His life is more important than me being, out of whack because there's a yawn in class. So there's a better expectation. I should definitely change my expectation if there's a better expectation. In this case, my expectation would be dysfunctional. I don't want to keep a dysfunctional expectation. So you gotta, like Paperclip has a tendency to do, you gotta stop looking at the symptom. You gotta stop looking at the individual case and look at the bigger picture. You gotta look at the principle of what's going on, not just one specific instance. It's not just about yawning. If it was just about yawning, you would have to pay attention to every single symptom I addressed. What about tearing paper or crinkling candy bars or eating during class? You'd have to wait around for that podcast to know how to address that. Oh, Plum didn't talk about cats meowing in the podcast, so I don't know what to do when cats meow. So I can't address this problem now. That's you paying attention to the symptom and not looking at the bigger picture. What is the principle? What is the governing principle Plum is addressing? Remember, I don't address situations. I address principles. I'm not talking about his yawn just to harp on his yawn. His yawn didn't bother me that much. The issue is not the yawn. The issue is managing my expectations. And the issue is okay, and you brought up another good issue, which is if I have an expectation which isn't functional, I need to discard it. A lot of your expectations are not going to be functional when you start out. It's good that you could say no to people. It's good that you could say no to people violating your expectations, but maybe in some cases they have a very good reason for violating your expectation. What if a coworker is bugging you, and this guy always bugs you, always comes in your office and says, hey, we got to go do this thing. And you're like, fuck, why is this guy coming to my office bugging me? I'm going to make a new expectation. I just joined Manhood Academy. Damn it, I care about my expectations now. I'm going to slam my hand on the desk when I talk. Say, this guy's not going to bug me. This guy comes in the office. Hey man, we got to leave. There's a fire in the hallway. Get the fuck out of my office. I joined Manhood Academy. I'm a Manhood Academy student. I know how to get my expectations met. So I learned how to say no to people who are violating my expectations. My new expectation is you're not allowed to come to my office without calling me first. And meanwhile, you don't know that his phone melted in the fire. And you're not allowed to call me first. And you got to get the fuck out of here. He's like, man, there's a fire in the building. Get the fuck out. I'm a Manhood Academy student. I'm getting my expectation met. And so, unfortunately, we read in the paper, a Manhood Academy student died with his head up his ass.
Oh, Professor, I have another side issue. I think I guess this would fall under female design.
Gmail design?
Female design. I have a female design issue.
Oh, female design. Okay, go ahead.
Concern. Now, I recall one day you said that you expect a woman to lie to you. Like, you don't expect a woman to be truthful to you all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now, let's say you have a diary in your room.
Okay, well, I should qualify that. Like, for instance, when I say I expect a woman to lie to me, it's just like a child growing up. I expect a child to not be disciplined. And part of not being disciplined is lying, because lying is getting out of trouble. Lying is not taking responsibility for your actions. Lying is a lot of things. So, lying is a symptom of this thing. So I expect a child who is not disciplined to lie, because that is a way to avoid discipline. Discipline is not something you look forward to. You don't look forward to a spanking. You don't look forward to being limited. You don't look forward to making a schedule for your life. You don't look forward to going to class, to going to work, to having to get up at a certain time. These are all limitations and restrictions on your life. You don't look forward to them, but they help you in the long run. Now, as a baby, I don't expect a baby to be limited or to be disciplined when they come out of the womb. They're the opposite. So they're going to lie. Just like a woman. I don't expect a woman to be a Disney character. She's anything but a Disney character. But as long as I'm able to shape her, I can give her discipline so that she isn't lying. I can give her a reason to not lie to me. It doesn't mean you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that this person is a chronic liar.
Right.
I'm not getting at that women just lie and you can't help them.
You're saying that she's undisciplined.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, now, I have a concern.
Okay.
Let's say you have a book on your shelf and it says Plum's Diary.
Right.
In the back of your mind, do you think this bitch is going to read my diary? Even though it says personal diary or whatever?
That depends. Okay, there's two issues here. Number one, there's the trust issue, which is built up if the person is in love with you, deeply in love with you, and you have put enough limitations on them where they're fallen deeply in love with you, now they care about your expectations. So if somebody cares about your expectations, they're going to fear your authority. They're going to fear violating your authority. So for instance, if I tell Paperclip, hey Paperclip, don't take that chocolate cake I have in the fridge. I made it specially for a special occasion. You're not allowed to touch it. Well, Paperclip doesn't give a fuck about me. He might just go in there and take a lick of the frosting off the top and be like, hey, fuck Plum. I want some of that cake.
Yeah.
But the Paperclip is a student here for a long time. He's going to learn to fear my authority. He's going to learn I don't fuck around. If I catch him taking some of that cake, he's going to lose his finger. So he knows not to fuck with that cake. Okay?
Right. Well,
so there's that issue. Whoa! There's that issue of training, right? Where Paperclip now fears my authority. He likes me. He is attracted to me in a sense, right? So the same with a woman. When you put the limitation and restriction on her, she loves you. She falls in love with you. She fears your authority. She respects your expectations now. If you tell her not to do something, she's more likely not to do it. Now, that being said, there's also the issue of capacity, okay? For instance, if you say to a kid may respect your authority, right? If you're disciplining your child properly, they may respect your authority. They may listen to your wishes. Like if you tell your child, come in at 3 p.m., don't be late. If you're late, you're getting a spanking. The first time they come in at 4 p.m. and they get a spanking, they're like, fuck, dad is serious. Don't fuck with dad. Now, every time at 3 p.m., they got a watch on, right? They got their Spider-Man watch on. Guess what? They're in at 2:55. They don't want to fuck around, right? Because they fear your authority. Now they love you, they respect you. But just because they fear your authority and they love and respect you and want to meet your expectation, hey, come in before 3 p.m., does that mean you can go, hey, since you fear my authority and you want to meet my expectations, I want you to drive the car now? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with me telling them to drive the car?
They're going to crash.
Well, but he fears my authority and he wants to meet my expectations. What's wrong though?
They don't have the capacity to meet your expectations.
They don't have the capacity, exactly, the ability. Okay, we'll say capacity is your potential and your ability is what you've been trained to do. Okay, so they don't have the ability, right? They don't have the ability to meet my expectation. So it might be that, I'm not sure it falls into that where, a woman is curious and kind of like a child. If you tell her don't do that, it's not that she doesn't want to meet your expectation, but she's undisciplined. So you put her in a position to say, hey, I trust you, so don't read that. But also she's undisciplined. You're trusting an undisciplined person. She doesn't have the ability yet, right? So you have to check. Is she trustworthy? Is she this, is she that? Well, if she's not, and you're expecting an untrained person to fulfill something that requires training, well, that's a shortage on your part because you have a dysfunctional expectation. Why are you making expectations? Why are you making demands on a person who doesn't have the ability to fulfill those demands? Just like if a girl she's not trained, right? She forgets things all the time. Nobody's been training her to remember stuff. Nobody punishes her. She doesn't take means, write things down on a list or whatever, and she just has a bad memory. And you tell her, hey, this super important thing is coming up for my dad, and you need to remember to pick up this thing at this time, and she doesn't pick it up. Well, whose fault is that? She may fear your authority, but she may not have the ability, the training to meet your demand. Is she trained enough? Did you train her? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
All right.
What I'm thinking about as well is, like, when something should be obvious that you shouldn't do something, like, for example, reading a diary. Like, that's common sense. Like, you shouldn't read somebody's personal diary. Do I have to tell this girl, hey, here's a diary, I don't want you to read it? If she reads it, is it my fault that I didn't tell her not to read it?
Did you hear what I told you?
Well, you said that she doesn't have the capacity, so...
I don't know if she does or not.
Okay. So it would just be off of my judgment.
Yes.
I would have to know if she has the capacity or not. And if
There
I
you
think
go.
she doesn't...
If you have a
then
kid, aren't you responsible for knowing if they can drive or not?
Right.
Before you ask them to drive you somewhere? Shouldn't you check to see if they have that ability first before you trust them to do that?
Right.
So you need to become responsible for their behavior. If somebody's under your care, if you have authority over somebody, you're responsible for their behavior. The tough part is when you don't want to be responsible for their behavior. Too bad. You have authority over them, you're responsible for their behavior. There's a lot of students here who are fuck-ups, and I don't want to be responsible for their behavior, but too bad I'm responsible for their behavior. I'm the professor. Okay, any other questions? Comments?
Regarding this, because I just remembered, you made a comment earlier today about how there should be another type of reward added to the ebook.
Yeah.
I think it was agreement or support.
It was acceptance. You wanted to add acceptance. We have rejection on the punishment side, but we don't have acceptance on the reward side. So we should probably add acceptance in there. That was probably just an oversight.
Acceptance doesn't seem like a direct reward. I can't see the acceptance directly. Like when the reward, like praising, it's not as apparent.
Well, can you see rejection? How did you see rejection?
But what I'm saying is I can feel praise very easily, whereas when you say I'm rewarding you by accepting...
Well, it's the same thing as, like, for instance, if you look on the punishment side, what was it?
Yeah, you have rejection.
Rejection, scolding. Scolding is rejection.
Yeah.
Scolding is rejection.
Yeah, I can feel scolding.
Okay, so on the same side, praise is part of acceptance. It would fall under acceptance.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? You look at the
it's a small
antithesis.
picture, acceptance is a big picture.
What's that?
Praising is a small picture, acceptance is the big picture.
Yes. It's more specific. Just like rejection or scolding is the more specific form of rejection. Rejection is a general term.
Okay.
So just consider it that way.
Okay.
I think it's good that you talked about why changing your expectations isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of students, when they first come here and they first start caring about their expectations, they become so stubborn they never want to change it for anything, even when their expectation is dysfunctional. So I think it's good that you clarified that.
Yeah, I think because a lot of students will, like paper, they like to go to extremes with things. Like they'll find something out and they'll take it to the extreme. Like when you first started the academy, you are so used to letting people walk all over you a lot of time. Not everybody, but I would say a majority of students are used to not getting their expectations met. So when they realize, or when somebody tells them you could say no, it's like a permission to say no to somebody. It's like they'll take it overboard to the point where it becomes damaging to their relationships. Like, no, we'll do it my way 100% of the time, even if your way is wrong. You can get your expectations met even if they're wrong, but that doesn't mean it's going to be conducive for your relationships. You're going to cause problems if you keep trying to enforce dysfunctional expectations. There's a lot of people out there who can get their expectations met. They're likable guys, but because of the nature of their expectations, they're wrong. They're going to cause problems for their relationships. Dysfunctional expectations are not going to meet people's needs. So somewhere down the line, you're going to have to pay for having that expectation.
Yeah, like in the past few months, I've noticed you've been focusing a lot more on incentive. I think you kind of realized the error in your ways when you started, because when I first came to the academy, you seem to put a lot of emphasis on just punishing, caring about your expectations, punish this person, have balls. And it's only been very, very recently that you put focus on giving people incentive so they want to meet.
That's not true. You haven't been at the academy that long. It depends on kind of where the students are at, or I'm kind of gauging the students as a whole, because not everybody's in the same place. Some people are really need to focus on just giving incentive to people, like Boggles. He really needs to focus on giving incentive to people. But at one point, Boggles is a very passive guy who couldn't even say no to anybody. So, or that's not true. He would say no in a very volatile way, I'd say, but for the most part, I would say he was more passive, on the passive side. So it was very difficult to get him to have an expectation and say, hey, don't violate this expectation. So you'd have to emphasize punishment. Just because I emphasize something doesn't mean I mean to neglect the other thing. So just because I emphasize punishment, I would say that more as a start for a lot of students because they don't know how to get their expectations met. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't also consider, hey, I have to give this person incentive for them to meet my expectations. So, for instance, look at the ebook. A lot of it is focused on the punishment side. If you read it just, I don't know, weighing them and saying which section was longer, you would say the punishment section is longer than the reward section. So you would say, oh, punishment's more important. No, that's not the message. It's just that our culture is a culture that doesn't even talk about punishment. We barely even talk about it. So that's why I talk about it so much.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
Does punishment vary depending on how angry you are?
What?
Depending on how angry you are? So if
Yeah,
I'm
let's
super
say
angry, I
someone
should
does
punch you.
something.
I should hit you with a shovel. But if I'm not that angry with you, I should just give you a timeout. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, not to that extreme, but like with your words. So
Isn't that the same
uh,
principle? I just made it an extreme example just to highlight the
Right.
error of that thinking.
The ebook says the punishment should be for the violation of the expectation.
Yeah, it's not according to how mad you are. Like sometimes people violate it and you're emotional for whatever reason. You're like, I want to kill this person. Should you kill them just because you feel like killing them?
Okay, that's a good.
Yeah, I think he's asking. I think what he's really asking is if you're more. No, never mind. That doesn't make
Well, that's
sense.
basically. I mean, that's basically what I'm asking. He pointed it out. I'm not gonna hit somebody with a shovel, but with your words, you gotta kind of check yourself.
Right. Well, Blue, the point of punishment isn't to let go of your anger. The point of punishment is to stop the behavior that's bothering you.
Let me
So if
ask
the
you this
punishment
though.
is sufficient.
Let me make this suggestion though. The reason why you're angry in the first place is because you're not punishing. The reason why anger and resentment build up and become like volatile, like some people, talk about, oh, this guy's so abusive. The reason why that happens is because you're not punishing. You let things slide, and then it builds up resentment, and then when you finally punish, it's like you're super angry. Whereas if somebody first violates your expectations and you punish, if you were to punish then, you wouldn't be even that angry about it. You'd be like, this person is violating my expectations. I should do something about it. For instance, I wasn't super angry about Gorilla Pair yawning. It bothered me a little bit, but I'm not like to the point where I need to punch him and kill him. But I definitely know he's violating my expectation, and it angered me more that he made an excuse. Who the fuck is grinding into the microphone? Stop grind away from the microphone. It angered me more that he made an excuse than his initial yawn. So I'm concerned about the violation of authority, not necessarily just the act itself. So you should be aware when your expectation is being violated, the earlier you handle it, the less chance there is for that resentment to build up. That's usually a fault on your part that it shows that you're not handling violations of your authority early on and you're letting this anger and resentment build up. So now it's like when somebody violates it, it's kind of like you're acting because you hit your last straw. And you're like, oh, if they do it one more time, I'm going to kill them. You get to that mentality because they've done it like 20 times and you haven't done anything. You're like, oh, this person better shape up. Or you give them a warning, don't do it. I told you not to do it. Didn't I tell you not to do it? How many times did I tell you not to do it? Right? One of those people who has to say 10 times. The reason why they're saying 10 times, because they're not doing it right the first time. You shouldn't have to tell a person 10 times.
Professor,
Yes.
can I ask something? What if
Wait, who's
excuse...
this? Is this Girl Pair?
It's Girl Pair, sorry. The only one with a British accent.
Gotcha. Right then, Governor.
If the excuse, it's a valid one, such as, let's say, I say it was an involuntary, kind of just, it just happened. That would have been a perfectly good explanation. If someone burped right now, and they,
Well, it depends. Like, if they're blinking's involuntary. Burping, farting, yawning, you can prepare for those things. If I can stifle a yawn, I'm pretty sure you could stifle a yawn or know that you're going to yawn. That's more a lack of, you policing yourself versus me having to accommodate you. If it's something that's involuntary where you can't control it, that's one issue. But I don't put yawning in that category. Do you?
If it's a 3 a.m. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yes, you're right.
You're a 3 a.m. excuse guy is the problem. If it's a 3 a.m., I wouldn't say it's a 3 a.m.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but that's my
I
point.
understand. You're right.
Okay. Let's go on. We need to actually cover a topic here.
We spent like an hour and 10.
You should actually grow up here yawn every time.
Okay. That's what happens. We get one yawn, derails the entire podcast.
I appreciate the questions.
All right, back to film and lecture. Back to podcasting topics.
We already talked about tortilla and initiating the leading up.
Okay, so yes, this is a prime example. This is the reason I got in this whole jag about this, about the academy and creating the academy is because Tortilla is a prime example of that. He's making responses to posts. Same with Zeiger, doing a lot. You know, whenever somebody is making an EM report and it's horrendous, and usually if you're a Manhood Academy student, it's almost guaranteed your EM report is going to be horrendous. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here. You should all practice fixing that report, regardless of how many students before you have fixed that report. You should practice. I notice only 2 or 3 students are doing that. So the rest of you are fucking up. You're not initiating. You're not practicing leading. You're not practicing responding and building a relationship with the student who you're correcting, or the other students who are participating in the correction. You're not taking this opportunity to lead. So you're one of those people who are enjoying the luxury of the academy without realizing that you need to pay for the academy. You need to build the academy. You need to make the academy meet your expectations. That's what Torero's doing. You got to realize responding is part of getting your expectations met, because if I want this person to be a certain way, I want to respond to him and shape his behavior. If I want these reports to look right, I need to criticize them. I can't just go, well, this one's fucked up. I'm just gonna bear with it. Hopefully it'll get better. No, it's not gonna get better if I just leave it there. I have to do something to it. I have to put it in academic probation to highlight how terrible it is. I have to comment on parts that aren't following the EM directions. I have to criticize it. I have to scold it. I have to encourage the parts that are right, or say, hey, this is good. I like this part right here. See what you're doing. This is what you need to do. I need to do all these things to shape that behavior of that person. I need to initiate. I need to lead. If I'm not doing that, I'm fucking up. You guys are sitting there not doing anything, thinking, it's just neutral position. I'm not doing anything, so it's not that bad. I'm not fucking up the report. I'm not giving the wrong answer. I'm just sitting back. I'm just a student. I just started. Yeah, you just started fucking up is what you started doing. You're just as responsible as any other student here, as any new student. Any new student can read the guidelines and try them. It's just like learning how to do a math problem. Well, today you learned 2 + 2 is 4. Oh, but it's my first day learning addition. So what? Practice a problem. All the EM reports are just practice problems in your math book. Do you know how to turn in a perfect EM report? You don't? Well, then fucking start practicing on all the EM reports that are already there. You even have cheat sheets there. Some reports I've corrected, some reports other students have corrected and I give them the okay on. Those are cheat sheets. So now just take the report, quote it, and just start going through it and saying this is right, this is wrong. Then go back and look at the cheat sheet if you're that insecure about grading the report. But I suggest you do it regardless if there's a cheat sheet or not. Practice initiating. Practice getting your expectations met with the academy. This academy should work according to your expectations. If it's not meeting your needs, either my expectation is wrong or your expectation is wrong. But we should both be benefiting from this relationship as student and instructor. If you're not benefiting, my expectation is wrong or your expectation is wrong. One or the other. You won't know that unless you do anything about it. This is why some students say type shit in the expression thread. I don't like it, I comment on it. Or I do like it, I comment on it. Some students don't participate. I take them off the forum. Or they don't do this. I do something to push them forward in a direction. I will provoke them to move in a direction rather than just let them stay there and not do anything. If you are staying there and not doing anything, you're like gangrene in the body. You're just slowing the body down. You're a harm to the body. You need to do something. Practice, practice, practice. Hone your ability. You are not here to sit back passively. If you were here to sit back passively, why would you even need the academy? Why would you need to even talk to the students? You just read an ebook and that's it. You're done. Of course, you wouldn't learn anything because you didn't practice it, but at least you'd have the knowledge and say, hey, I got the knowledge. I learned something. That would be useless to you. But here we're making the knowledge practical for you. This is the perfect environment to do that. We expect you to fuck up, so it's expected that you'll screw up. The problem is you have a dysfunctional expectation in your head that I am not a screw up. I am going to be perfect before I practice my expectation management. That is the irony. A lot of you guys don't want to practice until you get perfect, until you perfect your expectation management skills. Then you want to practice.
I want to make a comment.
Yes, comment.
About knowledge.
Okay.
I find that once you have the knowledge and you've learned something here at Manhood Academy, if you're not implementing it, or if you're not implementing it right, it's even more painful. It's like almost unbearable.
Yes.
But I think that's what pushes us forward. because we know what we're doing is wrong, and it's very painful.
Well, there you go. You're going to learn through trial and error, but at least do something to make that process happen. If you're just sitting back and not doing anything about it, you're not making that happen. You'll
learn more from failure than success. You said that before, Plum, many times.
I have not said that first. There are many people before me that have said that.
You're the first person I heard that from.
Okay, well, there you go. But the point is, you're right. You're going to learn more from doing it the wrong way than you are from doing it the right way. Can we get to the topic?
How is it irony that you want to make sure you can do everything right before you actually do it? I don't see how it's irony.
Oh, it's irony? Because if you don't know how to do it right, that implies that it's going to be wrong and you're never going to improve.
How are you going to do it right if you don't know how to do it? You need to practice to even get to doing it right, but you're not willing to practice because you don't want to fuck up. That is the ironic part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like math. Like, you almost have to do it wrong for you to know what not to do in the future. Or so you have a more comprehensive understanding of what's going on.
Nice.
Right?
Okay. Professor Plum.
Yes.
I thought that the principles of manhood is considered wisdom, not knowledge. Why is it now considered knowledge?
Wisdom is functional knowledge. For instance, if you know a fact like 2 plus 2, that would consider that knowledge. Wisdom is more like, what are you doing with 2 plus 2? Well, are you using it to, take care of your finances, to add up your money, etc.? You're being functional with that knowledge.
Why don't you consider what you teach as wisdom and not knowledge?
Well, you're learning, things in the ebook. You're learning some facts in the ebook about how relationships work, but until you can actually do something with that, it's just dead knowledge to you. Just like reading about two people having a relationship, so what? If they're having a relationship, are you having the relationship? That is what matters.
So once I'm able to get my expectations and convey myself, then the knowledge you gave me becomes wisdom?
Yes, once it is useful, it is wisdom. If it's not useful, it's like it's knowledge. It's static.
A lot of us lack wisdom right now.
You have calculus books out there, but not everybody knows calculus. It's just dead knowledge to you. It hasn't helped you yet. Unless it's benefited you and helped somebody, then it's just it's just words on a page. Even if it's right. It has to do something. It's just like you guys. You guys are useless unless you do something with what you can do with your capacity. You guys have such a huge capacity as men. You don't realize that because you haven't done anything. You haven't trained your ability. So you guys are useless right now. But consider the converse of that. When you do train your capacity and it becomes ability, you become a very useful person. You guys are no different than me. You guys can make your own academies. You guys could be influencing your own students. You guys could be making your own banners, your own posts, your own community. Think of this community that I built. You have the capacity to create a community like this, but in your mind, I'm just a guy who doesn't know anything about social interaction. I'm a loser. Of course you're a loser. You haven't done anything to train yourself yet. This is the place to train.
Professor?
Yes.
Can I ask, how does the EM posts that we edit help us,
How does it help you? Well, it helps you in a number of ways. Number one, it forms a relationship with whoever you're editing the post for. It also forms a relationship with the students who are reading the post. They start to see how you think. It forms a relationship with the other students who are correcting the post as well. So basically everybody at the academy, you're forming a relationship, which is number one. Number two, you're getting practice managing your expectations and figuring out what a social interaction is, the components of a social interaction. If you can diagnose somebody else's social interaction, you could diagnose your own interactions. You could start to see, if you could spot, if you could go to an EM report right now in the academic probation section, one of the terrible ones, and fix it and go, here's what needs to be here in the brackets, here's what should have been done, etc. If you know exactly what should take place, you can manage your own expectations. You can help other students. You now have some wisdom, because now you can apply it to your own relationships. So there are many, many benefits to participating in the forum, especially where the EM posts are concerned. It's not just one benefit, it's multiple benefits. If I make a banner here, if I make a banner at the top of the forum, right? These banners that are all colorful and silly, what are the benefits from the banners, Girl Pair?
That they look good.
For who?
For all of us and for new people that come in.
Okay, so that's one benefit. What else?
They say something about who we are and what we do.
Okay, what else?
They make your page load slower.
Hey, Zyger, can you think of any benefits for the banners?
I don't know.
Zyger, can you think of any benefits?
Oh, me?
Yeah, from the banners?
Except from what he said, I guess, like expressing who you are, the artist. I can't think of anything else.
Tim, can you think of any benefits from the banners?
I don't know.
Blue, any benefits from the banners?
Well, the only benefit I can think of is it's visually stimulating. It makes me want to come to the forum. It's one of those. Yeah, it's like an extra. I don't know. It's like it gives that extra oomph to the website.
Okay,
So
wait a second. Did 18 join? Who's Eric?
That's the Willie Gilligan.
Willie. Shy Willie, are you there?
Yeah.
Willie. Oh, clearing our throat, Willie. Shy, I'm going to put you as Shy Willie. Shy Willie, can you think of any benefits to the banners?
Well, one of them, the one that said that had pictures of the weed and all the other drugs. It's it sort of conveys a message that we don't really. Well, I mean, I was a pretty big pothead, and it's sort of
So it's conveying a message: drugs are bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Actually, I was being really silly with the banner. I wasn't really conveying that, but okay. DKO. Can you think of any benefits from the banners?
I think it makes us want to come back to see more.
Okay, DBP, any benefits from the banners?
It gives other people incentive. It intrigues them to come view the Academy, and because you want them. You just want to make them.
Boggles, any benefits to the banners?
It helps some people identify with something in the banner. It creates a sense of humor and some, brings a smile on people's faces. It makes students think of other ideas for banners.
And also, it's something for me to do. I like doing them. So there's multiple benefits. There's multiple benefits to a lot of things you do. Oh, we got somebody from Peter's coming in. Hello, Peter. G'day, governor. Uh-oh, I got spinning ball of death. No. Did I lose the podcast? Oh, crashed the podcast. Hold on. Time out. Reopen. I've crashed the entire podcast. Sorry, podcast world. Everybody, we're coming back on in 1 second. Okay, let's see what happened. Let's try that again. Beep, beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. Ah, okay. Right then. Interesting. Okay, hold on a second. I'm calling all the people back. Hold on. I'm calling. Oh, here we go.
Did the new guy crash it?
The new guy crashed the entire podcast.
Wait, Biggie's on here.
Oh, new guy. Hold on a second. We're trying to get everybody back.
I don't see the new guy now.
We just crashed the entire podcast.
Fucking dude, it's always something with Skype. I keep saying this. It's just.
Let's see. Who was it?
I think you should try Google Plus.
I think it was Peter. Some guy named Peter.
Yeah, get it together.
Get it together. Oh.
He said he tried.
It's like, hey, welcome.
So I'm gonna put that in the podcast topics. Get it together. Crash
Hold on a second.
podcast.
I'm gonna hang up on this guy, and I'm gonna try to get. Let's see. We want to get Jupiter. Get him back. Get Jar back. Get you back. Get you back. Do we have everybody? Hang up on you. Okay, do we have everybody?
Get it together.
No, we're not bringing him on.
I'm going to turn the mic
We
on.
have everybody
Okay.
except Paperclip.
Paper. All right, I need to get paper back. Podcast panic. Paper, you back? Paper.
It's not taking.
Yeah, it's connect. Oh, there. Let me try one more time here.
There he is.
Paper. Paper, you back?
Yo.
We just crashed the entire podcast trying to pick up on.
Where is that guy? I want to talk to him now. The
Peter.
guy who cracked it.
I'm so hesitant now to add him to the podcast. He was the death of this podcast, but how bad can it be to add one person to the podcast?
Let's try again.
Do I dare?
Yeah, I think we should dare it.
Well, he's not on my contacts list. That might have something to do with it.
Huh. Should I wait?
Well, how'd you get him in the call?
It just a call came on my screen all of a sudden.
Yeah, and you shouldn't answer it.
Yeah, if it's not in the contact,
I should not have answered it. Damn it.
Now, read his username and add it, and then add it to the call.
How about you? How about you paste it in the chat window?
Okay, tell him to paste it in the Skype window. I don't have it.
Okay, let's not worry about it till after class. I don't want to fuck with it right now. And whoever's scratching the mic, please stop scratching the mic. Thank you.
So now we're at paper clips. I was talking to a new friend that I made about women.
Okay, hold on. Who is scratching the mic? Whoever is scratching the mic, stop.
The British.
The British. Grow a pair, stop scratching the mic.
My mic was off.
Uh-oh, I can hear it.
I don't hear it anymore.
I don't hear it anymore. We're good.
anything.
We're good. Okay, we're good. All right, let's see. Where were before we crash this podcast? We got, let's see, what time do we start? At 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. Okay, so we got about 30 more minutes. Let's finish this off. Do we have everybody back, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Where did we leave off?
Well, I don't remember what we were talking about, but we have a podcast I have a paperclip wrote, and then I was talking to a new friend I made about women.
Nobody remembers what we were just talking about? Was that
Well,
shocking?
we finished the tortilla thing and now.
Oh, the banners, right. Okay, so basically, the banners started. The banners, there are multiple benefits to the banners. Tim, Will, do you remember my point about the banners? Something about there being multiple benefits.
You enjoy doing them? So you get
Hold on, so I'm asking Tim.
You like doing them?
Yes. So there are multiple. I don't remember the point. I think the point was there's supposed to be a lot of things that I forgot how I tied it in. Well, let's just move on.
It was related to the question about like what's the point of these EM practice.
Yeah. Okay.
EM
So what's the point of doing all these things? So
benefits, just like the banners.
yes, just like exactly. Thanks, Zyger. We can always count on Zyger to make sense of this nonsense. So just like the responding to the EM reports, there are multiple benefits to everything you do here. The Academy banners add visual stimulation to visitors. They add, they're fun for me to do. They keep my interest. They're a distraction. There's a bunch of little benefits you get by participating at the Academy. Same with, answering the EM reports. There's a bunch of little benefits. So to everything you do here, there's a bunch of little benefits because a community is involved. If it was just me, there would just be the benefit to me of just making the banner and just having something to kill my time. But because it's a community is involved here and we're dealing with people, there are relationships that are being affected by the banner. So everything you do in the community is like that. You're that little strand of the spider web. You're affecting the entire web. So if you're having a bad day and you come to the Academy and you share about that bad day, that's going to affect all the members. All the members are going to either get behind you, they're going to be brought down by it, they're going to want to support you. Something is going to happen as a result of your bad day. Same with your good day. So your successes, your failures, they're all going to affect the Academy. You are a little cog in the Academy. You're like a little cog in a watch. You may be a small little part, but you affect the entire running of the watch. If you stop, somebody throws a little monkey wrench in right where your little cog is at, the entire watch breaks down. So you have an effect on the entire Academy, a ripple effect. All right, let's finally move past this first topic. We've been stuck on this first topic for the last week or so.
Hour and a half.
Yeah. Okay, so, it was an important thing. That's why I wanted to talk about this. So if you guys want to be like Torero, you guys want to be like Zyger, practicing social interaction in the Academy with the other students, I'm always going to ask you, especially if your expression posts suck, I'm going to ask you, how is your relationship with the other students? Why do I ask this about your expression post, by the way, Tim?
You want us to know if we are just conveying that person to other people.
Yes, but why do I always ask about how your relationships are with the other students? If you're, especially if your expression posts suck, Shy Willie, Eric.
Yes. I didn't hear your question, Professor.
Shy Willie, wake up. Are you there?
Yeah.
You awake?
Yep.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Why do I ask? How are your relationships with the other students in your expression posts, especially if they suck? Why do I ask that question?
Because you want the students to have good relationships, so they'll care about their expression posts.
Yeah, if you're writing about something that is just I ate cereal today that was purple colored, you're just conveying dead information. That's only going to matter to students who actually care about you, that are in a relationship with you. So why do I ask how your relationships are doing, DKO, with the other students?
So that other people care about what you're writing.
So that other people care just because I asked that? No.
No. So that you can form a relationship with them and...
So that you will know, so you will check with yourself, how are my relationships with the other students? Is that why they don't care about this post? Is that why my posts are not getting responses, etc.?
Is that a question?
I'm telling you the answer why, or
Oh,
what
okay.
you should be considering if you see that question asked on your post. If I ask you
Okay.
how are your relationships with your other students, what should you be asking yourself?
If I have made relationships with other students,
Okay. Why?
so that they care about what they're reading.
You shouldn't see 3 students chronically posting on the same blogs, on the same threads. You shouldn't see the same students chronically talking to each other. If you do, that's a problem. That's a problem with you, and that's a problem with the other students. What should you do, Jar, if you see the same students posting on the same threads? What should you be doing?
Well, I would go in and talk to them too. I would post as well because I want to get in there. I want to build a
Well, if I was a
relationship with
student-
friends. I don't want them to seclude themselves to just their own little circle.
Let's say you didn't post on certain threads, right? Let's say you didn't post on certain threads. Why don't you post on certain threads, Paper?
Because I like the incentive from the person to want to post in their threads.
Okay, so you don't care for the thread.
Yes.
Is it because they don't write something that you don't like in the thread?
It's because I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for?
You don't
I'm
have
not
a,
initiating and posting myself in order to build a relationship with a person.
okay, but let's say it's a new student. You don't know what their writing is like. Are you even going to bother to read it?
Yeah, I should.
You should or you do? I'm asking you.
Oh, I do.
Okay, so some threads you don't post on. Why don't you post on their thread?
Because I get lazy.
It's not just because you get lazy. There's that. But what else?
And I have no incentive. I don't have enough incentive to
What's
do
the
so.
incentive?
Then,
Why don't you post on their thread?
Because I don't have that relationship with the individual.
No. Girl pair, why don't you post on certain threads?
I don't know.
Jar. No, let's say Zyger, why don't you post on certain threads?
Because there's nothing in the thread compelling me to post.
So, in
Basically,
layman's
it's
terms,
not-
put that in layman's terms.
Because it's boring, there's nothing interesting me directly.
Okay? So
And
put
of
that
course,
in even,
because I'm lazy.
put that in like 3 words, DVP, or 4 words.
Because I don't care.
Well, why don't you care?
I got the answer.
Blue,
Because the thread sucks.
the thread sucks. I don't like it. I'm bored by it. It may not even suck that bad. It's just that, didn't move me, touch me, or anything. And that's what you need to comment. This post did not move me. I don't like it. That will, even if it's the wrong commentary, let's say it's a great post, but you're just out of your fucking mind for it. You've been blazing for the past hour, and you just like, this thread sucks. Guess what? If you post, I wasn't moved by this thread, we're gonna find out why. We're gonna find out you're either crazy, or this guy's not posting, he's not making a quality expression thread. He's not attracting anybody with this thread. So we're gonna get to the relationship problem, and we're gonna fix the relationship, and then he's gonna make a post that you actually care about reading. But that will never happen unless you mention it. If you're like, I read this post and I'm like, nothing, it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, you should say, I didn't care for the post. You should say that.
I think you criticize this post if you don't have any incentive.
What's that?
You haven't given any. How can you criticize the other person's post when you haven't given him any incentive?
Part of the incentive is to tell him what you don't like because he isn't giving you any incentive. Aren't you giving him incentive by writing your own posts?
Yeah, that's true.
Aren't you
Yeah,
giving
by
him
reading
incentive
his.
by participating in the forum? By posting EM reports? Aren't you helping other students out? Aren't you the incentive?
Yeah.
Incentive is not just you. You guys have this bad idea about incentive. You think incentive is just as if I give a student another $1, that is incentive. If I don't give them $1, they don't have incentive.
I thought that is what incentive.
Wrong. That's what I just told you. You don't know what the fuck incentive is. Zyger. No, let's not go to the teacher's pet. Let's go to Shy Willie. Shy Willie. Shy Willie, you there?
Yeah,
Wake up.
I just have to mute and unmute my mic.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you're a little slow on the draw. Okay. Shy Willie, hey. I want to ask you something.
Okay.
You intimidate me. Now I forgot my question. I was just going to ask it to Zyger. Damn it. What was I going to ask him?
Ask the DKO.
No, I want to ask Shy Willie, but I forgot my question. What was I just talking
You wanted
about?
to ask
Damn it.
what was the nature of incentive?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because people have a student perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So people have Shy Willie, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, people don't understand incentive. They think that incentive is all about just you have to physically give them something tangible, like a tangible asset. Like I have to give you $1 or a toy, and that is incentive.
Well,
But what are Boggles? Shut the fuck up. I'm talking to Shy Willie, not you. Sorry, Shy Willie. I fucking Indian asshole interrupting us. Okay,
Already accepted.
you, you and me, Shy Willie. Now, what's a major form of incentive that these guys are forgetting?
An attractive expression.
No, that's too general. What's a major, specific part of giving somebody an incentive? Something specific. That is not something you, like, it's not like $1, like you give them something.
I don't know.
Okay, let's go to DKO. What's another major specific incentive?
I'm gonna say attention.
Attention. What's that entail?
I think it entails a relationship.
Too vague, too broad. DBP. DBP. Yo, DBP. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did we crash again? Is everybody there? We Skyped. We just had Skype death. Damn it. Damn it, Skype death. We just had Skype death for a second. We should be,
You guys hear me?
we should be back.
Google Plus never crashes.
Okay, DBP.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another major specific form of incentive?
Leading. Teaching.
Okay, let's cover the one that DKO mentioned, attention. What's that mean?
Spending time with,
Spending time. What does that look like?
anything. Just being close to each other, hanging out.
Hanging out, being close to each other, being in the vicinity, looking at them, typing on their post. This is all paying attention. Do you realize if you type something on their post, if you just type ASDF on Jar's post, you are paying attention to Jar? Do you realize that, Paperclip?
Yes.
No, you don't.
Nope.
Boggles, do you realize if you type on Jar's post right now, you go in there and type, go to Jar's expression post right now, Boggles.
I'll clear the red dot. Alright, I'm going.
Go right on his post. Are you there?
1 second.
Come on.
Okay, I thought I should hit somebody who's...
Get there. Come on.
There is Jar. Jar,
Ah.
he gets a lot of attention. I don't want to give him... Right.
Fucking Boggles. Can you type on his post? Type reply to his thread.
ASDF.
Type ASDF in there.
Yeah, I did on submit.
Submit. Do you see it now?
Jar, yeah.
Jar, I want you to go to your thread now. Are you there, Jar?
Yeah, I'm going to my thread.
Okay, what do you see on your
It's
thread?
taking a long time to load.
I should have typed on Willie's too.
Okay, let's
It's
pretend.
taking a long time to.
Hey, Jar, forget it. We're gonna do it a quick way. Look in the Skype chat room.
Hello?
Look in the Skype chat room.
Let's...
You see that in the Skype chat room? I typed ASDF.
Yeah, I see it.
That is what
See it.
Bogler typed
It's
on your
right
post.
there.
We're gonna have to do this with somebody else that has a better connection. Sorry,
Let's go with Willie. Nobody types on this. I want to type.
Willie. Forget it. We're just gonna solve the problem. Look, if you see ASDF typed on your post, you're gonna look and say, I don't know what that means, but somebody is paying attention. Zyger is going, what is ASDF? Oh, somebody is paying attention to me. Somebody is typing something. It's not even meaningful, but they're giving me attention.
Here, I just typed ASDF.
Yes, Advanced Security Defense Force. Stop typing now. Motherfucker, you're distracting us. Okay, so we can see that attention, Boggles, do you understand that attention is a form of reward, is a form of incentive?
Yes.
No, you don't. If you understood that, you would type on people's posts. You would be rewarding them and giving them incentive with your attention.
I do selectively. I need to do it more.
The point is, you don't realize that that is giving people incentive.
Okay. Alright.
That is the point. Incentive comes in many forms. Hanging out with a student, just hanging out with them. Talking to them on Skype. That is incentive. So if you see a post and it doesn't move you, and it's just boring, or it's not boring or bad, or it just doesn't strike you as interesting enough for you to comment, you should comment on that post and say, not interesting enough for me to comment. Wasn't interested. Was okay. Was boring. Sucked. Didn't like it. Did like it a little bit. Didn't care for it. You should mention that. That will move the relationship forward. That will change the nature of their post. If you don't mention anything, there is no way for that post to change. There is no way for that person to meet your expectation. Do you realize that? You are causing the problem. By not addressing the problem, you are only causing more problems. So if you see posts and you read posts and you go, I don't care for that post, you better say something. You better say, I don't care for that post. Or this person, hey, you are not typing posts that interest me. I want this. Every person in the academy should be typing something that meets your expectations. If they don't, you should be writing something in their post or in their thread. You should be leading and initiating. You are not doing that. This is why the academy is stagnating. It stagnates if you stagnate. If you move forward, the academy moves forward. It moves forward at your pace. So I am doing my part. I am saying, here are the banners, here are the podcasts, here are my reactions, etc. But I am only one person. I do not run the community. You guys are the community. This community is the students and one teacher and the other teacher. This is the community is your participation. I can't do your part for you.
Yeah, John wrote on my post now.
I want to make a correction, Plum.
Yes.
You said that if we're not initiating, we're stagnating.
Yes.
When we're not stagnating. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. Because that's what you said, a relationship. If a relationship's not moving forward, it's moving backwards.
All right, write that down somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
So, are we off the first? Did we get through one topic? We have 12. We have 15 minutes to get to one topic.
I like Jar.
Boggles, what the fuck are you doing?
I wanted to express my liking that he wrote on my post. My bad.
Dude, after class.
Get the fucking job. Get the fuck out of class. Fucking Indian asshole.
No shit.
Okay. Where were we? Can we get through one topic,
Yes.
please?
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it.
Okay.
So-
I'm vague. This is called dysfunctional punishment. It's called guilting, begging, and pleading. In a functional world, I would just have my ruler out and beating all the students right now. But I'm stuck at guilting, begging, pleading. Now I'm trying to go through all the gamut of punishments, so you'll see what the dysfunctional ones look like too. Students, can we please go forward? How the academy got built. Example of initiating. Okay, so which one are we on here? Paperclip?
Yeah, just him and, the little EM post.
Okay, so I think we have time to cover this short little EM post. Okay, Paperclip writes.
I was talking to a new friend I met about women. Him.
Wait. Say that sentence again and articulate it so I can understand it.
I was talking to a new friend I made about women.
You were talking to a new friend you made about women, so you made this friend about women?
Say that again?
You made this friend about women? I don't understand that.
Yeah, you should have
I was
just...
talking to a woman to a new friend I made.
Yes, see? That is part of grammar, is arrangement. If you're arranged... Yes, I was talking about women to a new friend I made. The way you arranged it, I was talking to a new friend I made about women. If you're kind of saying it how you would speak it, but when you're writing, you have to be careful about your word arrangement, because the way you wrote it sounds like, I was talking to a new friend I made about women. Like you made this friend about women. Your word arrangement is part of your grammar. This is what you're very sloppy on paper. You gotta work on this. Okay, keep going.
Him. I want a woman from another country because they complain far less than American women. It sucks, but it's true. Stating his expectations.
Okay?
True.
Oh. Me. LOL. All women have the ability to complain if we allow them to. Punishing by rejecting a statement. Good thing we as men have the ability to correct that behavior and improve their personality. Stating my expectation. Now, what I did in this scenario was reject his delusional belief and then presented my belief about women and what we can do to solve the issue. In other words, I punished him for having a dysfunctional belief and then provided the right direction for him to walk through. I'm thinking that I have to be careful when I punish people who have conflicted views because if I haven't given them enough incentive, they will not
Who have conflicted views? Their views are conflicted? What do you mean?
As in, he wants a woman from another country.
You mean people who have conflicting views with you?
Yeah.
So their views aren't, you're not saying their views are conflicted, but you're saying the views that conflict with yours.
Well, as long as they're dysfunctional.
That's not my point. I'm saying your grammar is bad here. You're not saying his views are conflicted, like he's having trouble with his views. You're saying his views are conflicting with your views.
Oh, so I punish people who have conflicting views with me.
Yes, not that his views are conflicted. You're saying that his views are against each other, not that yours are against his. Grammar issue.
Okay.
Keep going.
Thank you. Therefore, I conclude that some of the delusional beliefs will have to be swept under the rug until I have given enough incentive for the person to receive my punishment, submit, and accept my belief.
To receive my punishment, submit, and accept my belief. Okay, I'm thinking that I have to be careful when I punish people who have conflicting views with me, because if I haven't given them enough incentive, then they will not talk to me again. Therefore, I conclude that some of the delusional beliefs will have to be swept under the rug until I've given enough incentive for the person to receive my punishment, submit, and accept my belief. Comments, Grow a Pair? Grow a Pair is not there. Comments, Zyga?
Well, I'm a little conflicted about. You want my comments on the bracket quotes or
No, on the post, on just his conclusion.
Well, I don't think that's correct. You don't. Well, when you're giving your opinions or disagreeing with someone's conflicting views, that's not really a punishment. It's more an incentive in itself. You're sharing your thoughts with them. If you're saying like, no, you're an asshole for thinking the way you do, stop doing that, well, that's punishment. But the way he did, he just presented his own views. I don't see that as a very harsh punishment. That's more like an incentive in the grand scheme of the relationship.
Okay.
I think.
DVP.
I disagree with Zyger. This agreement is a punishment, but it's such a light punishment that you can kind of get away with it. You know, you don't need that much incentive to disagree with somebody. The chances are, if you're just in a conversation with somebody like he was here, you know, it's a punishment you can get away with. It's a very, very light punishment. But as for that they should be swept under the rug, I think that was a poor use of words. I don't think that's what he was really trying to say. I think he was just saying you shouldn't really punish somebody too much until they have incentive. I just think he worded it poorly.
Okay, my comment would be on the whole fact, or the whole issue of incentive. I think Paperclip has such a distorted view of what incentive is that he doesn't realize that hanging out with his friend is incentive. Talking to him and sharing his views is incentive. All these things are incentive. In Paperclip's mind, unless he's like giving him a hug or giving him $1 or, you know, fixing his car, he's not giving him incentive. He doesn't realize how valuable his attention is, how valuable hanging out with his friend is, etc. These are all incentive. These are all examples of giving someone an incentive to do something, to meet an expectation.
So basically, if you give a competing or different view, it is a punishment in a sense, but it comes with like included incentive just because you're expressing yourself.
It's not even that. Some things are, for instance, if I tell you, "Hey Zyger, you need to brush your teeth," is that a punishment?
Well, you're stating your expectations.
But is it a punishment if you don't brush your teeth? I tell you, Zyger, you need to punish your teeth. You're not punishing you need to brush your teeth. You're not brushing your teeth.
It's a little painful, so yeah, it's a punishment.
It's a scolding, but
yeah.
It's also an incentive. It helps you out. I'm sharing something practical and valuable with you, and if you look back on that later, you'll go, "Oh, that guy gave me something valuable." You appreciate it. So it depends on your perspective and how you're looking at it. So in the long run, it's something valuable, but in the short term, it's just like a scolding. So the point is, it's not always so black and white. It's a lot of it is overlap. You can have punishment and you can have reward. Just like a parent can spank a child, and then afterwards their child's crying and they want to comfort it. They hug it and say, "Hey, I still love you, but just don't break my rules." So it's not like everything is in just this neat little compartment where here I'm punishing and here's the reward and everything's clear in black and white. Sometimes the things overlap. You could tell a child, "Look, I don't want to punish you. I love you, but I got to spank you." And then you spank them. Well, you're giving them loving words, but then now comes your punishment. So these things it's not just these rigid categories where you just see, here's the definite punishment and here's the definite reward. Sometimes these things overlap. So you have to have a broader view of of giving a reward and giving an incentive. You need a more encompassing view. You need to realize what is incentive. It's not just giving somebody something physically. It is a lot of things. That's why there's more categories than just, giving a gift. One of the rewards is like giving a gift, sharing your resources. There are more incentives than just sharing your resources.
one thing students need to pay attention with incentive with as well is the demands they make. They need to be proportional to the amount of incentive they're giving. You can't give somebody 50 cents to mow your lawn. They're going to tell you to fuck off.
Yes, you have to have enough incentive to get your expectation met. So
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah, but here's the problem. If your attention is incentive, I think a lot of students are going to say, well, I talk to this guy every single day. How come he's not, meeting my expectations?
okay, well, they're going to need to know.
You're punishing him with your attention.
Punishing him. It's the context of your. For instance, I can give you attention by staring at you, just looking at you with a blank stare. That's giving you attention. I can also give you attention by sitting next to you. Right? If we're eating lunch, I sit next to you. I'm giving you attention. So it's what you do with your attention. It's not just the fact that you're doing something, but you're just like other things. They have to be going in a direction. You have to be going towards your expectation with your punishments and your rewards. Like it's a reward to give somebody candy. I could give somebody a whole bag of candy and just hand it to them, but that has no direction behind it. So if I just keep giving people candy for arbitrarily, it's a reward, but it's not going to make people like me. There has to be a direction behind what I'm doing. Oh, we finally reached the end of class.
Please.
What's that? George, you say something?
I just wanted to make a comment about that because I kept. Oh yeah, I'm talking. Am I lagging too much?
Go for it.
Not
Go
make a
for it.
comment?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have been thinking about that a lot recently as well. And to me, how it came across to me was that sure, I can be talking to somebody for like months or years, and then once I make a demand, they're not going to follow it because I'm not providing incentive that is defined by my function as a male, my proper function, where I am leading, where I'm directing, where I am, being dominant, being a leader. So your incentive has to give off that vibe as well, and that's what
It's not just
I
like
tried
isolated
to explain
things.
to myself before, but I think you.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes students will read about incentive, and they'll just see like, okay, giving intentions is incentive, so I'll just look at them today. Or now I learned about giving incentive is giving them a resource, so now I'll start giving them cupcakes every day. So they just look at individual isolated instances of reward or punishment and think, if I'm just doing this thing, that is good enough. They don't realize these things all work in concert. These things work in concert with your expectations. It's just like when you're expressing something. We talk about, smiling. You squint your eyes when you smile. But you don't just go, okay, it's part of smiling and being happy is squinting my eyes. So when I talk to you, I want to concentrate on squinting my eyes. No. This is a natural consequence of being happy. We're not concentrating on each individual element of a smile to produce happiness. That's backwards. We want to do the things that would cause happiness, and then we'll spontaneously smile. We'll spontaneously express a smile. That is one element of expression, smiling, right? When you meet somebody, smiling. That doesn't mean, okay, now whenever I meet somebody, I must smile at this time and at this location, etc., to indicate happiness that'll attract them. That is doing something just for the sake of doing it without the direction behind it, without having your expectation behind it. What am I trying to accomplish with this smile? What am I trying to accomplish with my expression? What am I trying to accomplish with this hug? Is this hug merited? Versus, do I just want to do this because I read about it in the ebook? A hug is an incentive, so I should just hug now.
About incentive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
When I think about incentive, I almost think like, okay, incentive is basically making life easier for the person you want to form a relationship with. So let's say I talk to Boggles and I say, Boggles, we're going to go to the beach, and after that we're going to go to, Burger King, and there's this, they have this new Whopper that I want you to try. It's delicious. Because I gave him a direction, it makes life a little bit easier for Boggles.
Is it easier for him? What is the point of incentive, DVP?
To make them happy.
Which means what? What are you doing, Tim, if you're giving him incentive?
You're trying to give them a
Okay.
What does it mean when you're giving them incentive? If I'm giving you incentive, what am I doing for you, ultimately? What am I doing for you, Tim, if I'm giving you incentive? What are all these things doing that I'm giving you?
pleasure.
Okay, but what is that doing for you?
It's making me want to form a relationship with
No,
you.
what is it doing? It's doing something. You have something that is not.
Starts with an
I have
N.
an answer.
Makes me feel good.
Yes. What's that doing?
It makes me want.
What am I doing?
want.
What am I doing? I'm doing something for you.
You mean my needs?
Yes, I am meeting
Alright.
your needs.
Alright.
Yes, I am meeting your needs. So these incentives are meeting your needs. The punishment is meeting your need. The reward is meeting your need. Does that clear up the issue, Blue?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. Let's end on that note. Right at the time. Skype is crashing. Students have died off. Microphone problems, and we've gone through one topic on the podcast.
We went off like on 1,000 different.
It's been a rough ride, but we've made it through to the end of the podcast. Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Onward.
Thank you guys for attending. It's been a blast. We'll see you next time.